Hey, what's going on, guys? It's another episode of Light Sports Breakdown with LSB and JJ the DJ. The NBA playoffs are still going on, but it's been a long way and we're nearing the finish line, JJ. We're about to have four teams remaining.
Man, we're looking at the Eastern Conference today. We started out with 8 teams. Everyone thought, Milwaukee and Toronto was a lock to be the two best teams in the Eastern Conference. But now we've ended up with Boston and the Miami Heat. Who picked Miami at the start of the season or at the start of this, bubble playoffs? I can't think of too many people that did. So the fact that they're even, except maybe the two of us, but
Yes, sir.
here we are, and it is real. And tomorrow night, the Boston Celtics and Miami Heat will indeed start the Eastern Conference Finals. And I think it's going to be very interesting. Already have found out that Gordon Hayward won't be available for Boston in game number one. But when I look at this series, I'm looking at a few things that stick out to me right away, and that is for Miami. I think while they can win this series, I think there's a lot more pressure on them than Boston in this case because what they were able to do with with Milwaukee so well. Sorry, what Miami was able to do with Milwaukee was, they not only focused all their attention on Giannis and lessened his impact on the series,
Right.
but the others of the Milwaukee Bucks weren't, as their production wasn't as visible as on Miami, where you had 5 or 6 different guys all contributing. But
Right.
now, when they look over and they see Boston, you have 3 guys that consistently, throughout the season and this bubble format have only stepped up their level of play. I think it's a different animal in the Boston Celtics because you have Jalen Brown, you have Jason Tatum, and you have Kemba Walker. And not to mention Marcus Smart has stepped up his not only his shooting, but a tough level of defense on the other end. So I think for Miami, not just for Jimmy Butler, but the player that I am really watching because just of how they match up is I am looking at Bam Adebayo once again. I feel like he has gotten a lot of focus and attention his way, rightfully so.
Right.
But in series, I think it would be more important than ever, just because the Boston Celtics are not a big team, by any standard. I mean, they have Robert Williams, who they've been using, getting a lot of centers minutes. Cantor gets some, and then Daniel Tice. But overall, I think if Bam can use his size to make a difference, and Jimmy Butler continues to play, as well as he's been playing, not only by scoring, but providing excellent defense on that side of the ball, then I think that will make Miami very intimidating against the Celtics.
Who are you predicting to win this series, JJ?
Whew, I am conflicted. Okay, I am conflicted because I know how good both these teams are, and I know that as a Heat fan, I want Miami to make the finals. The fact that they're even in this predicament, they haven't been to an Eastern Conference Finals since 2014, which was the last time LeBron and Wade were together with Chris Bosh and those amazing Heat teams that they've had. So when I look at predicting this one, oh man, it's gonna be tough. It really is. But I think Jimmy Butler said that he doesn't see them as underdogs. And, from what they've done, I don't think you can see them as underdogs. So I think I'm going to pick Miami in 6. Um, you know, as much as I like how good of a team, the Boston Celtics are, I just think that, when you feel like, you're a good team and everybody's counting you out and, you know, you kind of take on that, something to prove, dynamic. And I feel like that's what Jimmy Butler, has not only on his shoulders, but I think the Heat team has started, has believed that they belong here, and nobody's taking them out until they're ready to go. And they're not, I don't think they're ready to be stopped yet. So I think, Dragic continues to play well in this one. I think Jimmy Butler and Bam, along with, the shooters that aren't playing like this is their first year at all with Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson. I think Miami just has more. I think they have more, weapons right now.
You're right. Miami has been very surprising. Before the playoffs even began, the Bucks were predicted to have close to 100% chance of making it to the finals, and the Heat had a 2.5% chance to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. So, like you said, not a lot of people expected this matchup to even happen or the Heat to even be here. And I agree. I'm predicting that the Heat win this series in 6 games, and here's why. Like you said, Jimmy Butler, Goran Dragic, the baby goat Tyler Hero has made big shots in that Bucks series to put them away. It was crazy. I thought they were gonna sweep the Bucks, but the Bucks got away. Tyler Hero made 3 big 3-pointers to give the Heat a chance to steal one. But they ended up ending the Bucks season in 5, so I'm not too disappointed. I'm very happy, like you said. They haven't been here since 2014. That's been a while. The big 3, the last time LeBron was here before he went home. We had Ray Allen and a lot of good players on that team, but it just wasn't meant to be that year. Now, in Jimmy Butler's first year, he could lead this team to the finals, and a lot of people were questioning why he chose to come here. Why? He didn't have another star. But look at that. Bam Adebayo emerged, and he showed out. He is that second star that the Heat didn't even have to trade for during the deadline. A lot of people were wondering, hey, why didn't you trade for anybody? Oh, we're good. We have Jimmy and Bam. Bam's an all-star. They traded for Iguodala, who's been a stud. He's been the staple of the Warriors for years, and he's just oozes championship pedigree. And he's still an elite defender in this league. He made LeBron have to work the couple of years that they faced the Cavs in the playoffs. They also have Jay Crowder. Jay Crowder has been playing his best basketball since he's been on the Celtics, which the Heat are facing. So he's been playing his best basketball, and he's showing that Heat culture, that Heat grit and grind, and that literally that he has what he's basically the perfect player that Miami was looking for. And a lot of people thought of him as just like a side piece, being like, oh, yeah, they were mainly getting Iguodala. Nope, it was Iguodala and Crowder. These 2 guys both contributed. We got Kendrick Nunn. Jimmy Butler has been a stud. Duncan Robinson, who's been, the second splash bro on the East with Tyler Hero. The Heat have a lot of weapons, and like I keep mentioning Iguodala, because he's going to be crucial during this series. I think Bam's going to take the assignment of taking Jason Tatum. And I think Iguodala is going to try to stop, I would say he's like third in command, because I think it would be Tatum, Kemba, and then I think Jaylen Brown would be the third option. But Jaylen Brown, he's done some work. He trained with Tracy McGrady in the offseason, and he's looked really good. Him and Tatum, they like I said last time, they butted into stars. And this Boston team, it's just scary. But despite Kemba even struggling, I mean, the series with Toronto could have honestly ended earlier, but Kemba was struggling, and Toronto took advantage and even forced the Game 7. But like you said, they have a lot of good pieces, despite them not being a big team with Daniel Tice and Enes Kanter and Marcus Smart. all defensive first team. He has been really good, but his flopping is just something questionable. He gets the benefit of the doubt a lot on those calls, but he has been playing stellar defense. That key block against Toronto sealed the deal, so I got to give him that. He is well deserving of it. But I think this is going to be a really big series. I was back and forth between it too. I was like, oh, am I just going to play with my heart or am I just going to be realistic? Because like we both said, we didn't expect the Heat to be here. But I mean, while the Heat are hot, why not? Why not us? I mean, anything can happen in the bubble. We struggled against Boston at the Garden, but there's no Garden. It's just the bubble. Anything can happen. We swept the Pacers in 4. We beat the Bucks in 5. So why not beat the Celtics in 6 and go to the finals? Why not? I wouldn't be disappointed if this won 7, JJ. I don't know if my heart could take it because we haven't been in this position in a while. But I'm honestly really looking forward to this series. I think both these teams are really evenly matched when it comes to the starting lineup and a few key pieces on the bench. But like you said, I think Bam is going to be a key factor. It's just a matter of if he'll take advantage or how they'll play him. And another key matchup I think would be I think that Marcus Smart would probably be guarding the baby goat, Tyler Hero, to make it difficult for him because Tyler Hero has shown that he's not afraid, and you can't have Kemba Walker guarding him. I mean, Kemba Walker is an amazing talent, but he's a little bit of a liability on defense. So I think that those are going to be the two key matchups besides with Iguodala and Brown. But I'm looking forward to this, JJ. And the one thing I disagreed with you about this series is that there's more pressure on the Heat. I think there's more pressure on the Celtics, but specifically one player, Kemba Walker. He struggled during these playoffs, during the bubble. And like I mentioned last time, he has this, like making it to the semifinals was a big accomplishment for him. This is his first ever conference finals. And that's a big deal. Kemba Walker has struggled to make it past the playoffs. He didn't see past the first round until this year because he was on the Hornets. The Hornets always kept underperforming, and he never had that experience in the next round. So you know what I mean. It's just I feel like it's going to be a very important series for Kemba because all the other Celtics, Brown, Tatum, Gordon, they've been to the conference finals. They're like a year or two removed from being in the conference finals against the Cavs. So, they have that experience. But Kemba Walker, this is a different animal for him. So I think he has to have a big series. Otherwise, I think the Heat will prove all the doubters wrong and make it to the finals this year, JJ. Any last minute thoughts?
I see. I understand where you're coming from. Definitely, there's pressure on Kemba, but I think more than anything, I think there's also I don't think that excuses pressure off of Jason Tatum because while I just think there's a little more pressure on Jason Tatum, and here's why. Because a lot of people could look at it, as Jason Tatum has been amazing, these in this playoffs, during the season, which is true. But when when you see what kind of level he's been on, it's always a next step, and with the next step, there's always more of a proving ground.
Right.
He worked with the living legend. Well, R.I.P. to Kobe Bryant, but he spent an extensive time working with Kobe Bryant, and that means something because that means that Kobe looked at you and made up his mind to believe that you had greatness in you.
Right.
And this is besides the finals, if you happen to get there, this is the step that helps you. You've been taking the steps to get to this point all season. And Jimmy Butler, He's taking that challenge with other teams' best players. You know, TJ Warren in the first round, that was something that they talked about, and he took that challenge head on, and he took the Pacers down. Giannis. How many guys do we know that could say, are gonna look at the Bucks and Giannis and say, I want that guy. I
Right.
want to stop that guy and show you that, the defensive player of the year can't stop me. And
Right.
that's what he did. So for Jason Tatum and the Celtics, I feel like they haven't had that series yet where Jason Tatum looks at the other guy and says, I have to go, I'm going at this guy. I
Right.
want this guy. It's me and this guy. Even though it's our teams are playing against one another, I want to see some people call it, that edge. Some people call it, the Mamba mentality. There's a bunch of names for it. But for Jason Tatum, I want to see him become that guy. I want to see him look at Jimmy Butler and take it personal almost, because and this is why people say the NBA is sometimes, too friendly at times. I want to see Jason Tatum have that look like they're coming to take us out. You know, they almost a kind of sense like they believe that they belong with us. Like, and I feel like it's up to him to, if he believes that, his team is better, he has to come out and play that way. So I'm very interested in how Boston approaches game one tomorrow night. I want to see, if, so to speak, business picks up, because this is, it's the Eastern Conference Finals. It's a big deal, you know. Winner gets to the finals. Like there's nothing else after that,
Right. It's pretty
So
legit.
I want to see which team comes out with, more of that aggressiveness
That hump
factor played
that
in.
win the series.
Yeah, whoever comes out that way from the start of game one on is going to dictate how this series goes. And I think this is an important step for Jason Tatum to show that kind of maturity in his third year, uh, to see if he has that in him. Because Jimmy Butler has understood the moment the entire playoffs. He knew the situation of what he believed that Miami could accomplish. So if Miami has that aggressiveness from the start and Boston can't keep up with it, then yeah, Miami will.
Sorry, you cut out a bit, but I basically got the gist of what you were saying, JJ. It's going to be an intense series, and Jason Tatum definitely has to step up. If you want to beat the best, you got. If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. You got to guard the best. You got to shoot over the best. But last thing I'm going to say before we go, Dwayne Wade and UD talked about like how this team was different than the last championship team that the Heat had, and UD said this, and this is very important, that basically every single player on this team would run through a brick wall without hesitation. So Boston has it cut out for them because these guys are hungry. These guys believe that they belong and they believe that they have a shot at this title. So, they have to worry about every single guy because not only is Jimmy Butler the leader of this team, but everyone else feels the same way that he does. And a lot of people doubted the Heat, but this year could be different. A lot of people will be like, "Wow, this Heat team. Who would have thought? Jimmy was right. Oh yeah, Jimmy was right. Yeah, yeah, yeah." But it's gonna be great. This series is gonna be great regardless of the result. And I'm just happy to be here, JJ. I'm glad that we're able to